making up report card grades. And after grade 4, everybody gets letter grades. In grades 10, 11, and 12, they need %. It's so nice to come to university and teach and go to letter grades. Because, you know, a 100-point scale, what's the difference between an 83 and an 84? What's the difference, 83 and 84%? Well, yeah, what is the difference besides 1%? You know, can we describe it? It's really hard to do that. Maybe it's a string of marks that have been added up. You know, there could be measurement error as well. You know, do I always mark the same time of day? What happens on Sunday night at midnight? You're trying to get everything done. How's your marking then, according, you know, compared to Saturday afternoon? But maybe you just come in from somewhere else, you know. So we always have some kind of measurement error around our marking, but what we're trying to do the very best we can, because we're just human beings, I mean, you know, is we're always trying to look at, this will work, yes, true achievement. Okay, we're trying to get to the truth about achievement. And that's what we're asked to do by the Ministry of Ed. We're not asked to include in our grades non-achievement factors. Lates to class, late handing in, not doing the homework. There's no outcome for does homework. So that's the trick now, is to look at the outcomes and see how students are achieving according to those outcomes. So I'd just like you to think about this little triangle here. And if you can think of it as a cross-validation of assessment evidence of the learning of students. So when I first started teaching many years ago, we looked at the products that students did only. Or maybe their performances, if you're, you know, in drama, or maybe they're doing something as an oral presentation, you know, lots of performances that students are doing, and it's wonderful because they bring all their learning together. You think of if you're a phys ed teacher, you think of the turn of practice that students do, and the process that they're working on. This is where I can get my best information of what I have to teach next. Because if I see how things are going, I see that, uh-oh, things aren't going very well. I know, do I have to reteach? Do I have to review? Do I have to take these two only and figure this out? How can I figure this out? It's hard to find you know, ways to reintroduce new concepts, but we have to do that, or we go back to Eric Jensen's whole idea of cramming more content and moving from one piece of learning to the next. Virtually guarantees that little will be learned or retained. We have to pause and reteach. We also have conversations, and I rely on conversations with students. We might get students' ideas through our conferences with them, and I often will do partner conferences because it seems to calm students a little bit when they come with a partner, and I can do 2 at a time. Also, I might use interviews, especially in math. I'm also listening to their group discussions, and I will often sit in. And of course, class discussions when I hear their remarks. Now, this is sometimes what can happen. I had one student in mathematics, and when I interviewed him, he could show me that he could do this problem set just fine. When I would watch him, he would be able to lay it out perfectly, compute it accurately. I gave a test, couldn't do it at all. Got it wrong all the time. I thought, well, what's wrong here? And I realized after working with Eric is that tests, it was test taking that the problem was. And I couldn't deny what I already knew. If I was only going to add up the marks, I wouldn't have this other information. Because these are my observations, these are my notes to myself from interviews. So I had to think, how can we include this other information that's more than just a number? You know? And the numbers tell us some things, but not the whole picture. You can also have the reverse. You haven't heard anything from the student. You've seen them do nothing, and they turn in the perfect paper. And then you go to Turnitin.com with the lead statement, and you find that the much ado about nothing essay is right on the web. So, you know, we really have to look and see what that achievement is that students can do. So that means that we don't count zeros. If a student's away, the 0 says that they're away. It's not about achievement. So you have to find out that outcome in another way. Maybe give the student some sample questions. If the student is late with an assignment, you don't take marks off. Because marks off is not about their achievement, it's about their behavior. Handing things in late, we've got to work with that in a different way. With Eric on test taking, this is how we solved it. He said, just too many questions on this test. I said, well, what can we do? We cut up the test. And then he just sorted them. These are the questions I can do first. I just photocopied it one side for him. And these are the questions I don't know how to do as well. So we did those first, and then he did those, and it was fine. I mean, such a small thing. But I just learned a lot from my students about what is it that I can observe and talk about that gives me more information about their learning. Okay? So just keep that triangle in mind, because that was key.